Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the Henry County Zoning Advisory Board meeting tonight, September 7th, 2023. I would like to advise all that this meeting is being broadcast live on Spectrum Channel 180 and on the Henry County website. For anyone wishing to speak tonight, a total of 10 minutes will be allowed for anyone wishing to speak in favor of a case and anyone wishing to speak in opposition. For example, if 10 people wish to speak, they must share the 10-minute slot. We will now hear the invocation by Mrs. Randolph.
I want to thank everyone for coming today and really the safety that we all had in traveling here. I think that's a great blessing as we all try to traverse up and down I-75. I want to hope that we can all honor each other in a spirit of trying to find commonality in the work that we do. I want to make sure that we are all listening with full ears and that we really try to understand perspectives that are presented, that we may come together in unity to find the best path forward for a united and a thriving Henry County. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Randolph. Can I get approval for the minutes of March 14, 2019, March 28, 2019, June 8, 2023, June 20th, 2023?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Well, I also like to move that a notation be included in the minutes of the March 14th and the March 28th, 2019 Zoning Advisory Board meeting, which were not signed by the previous chair or secretary. That states, the minutes were reviewed by the Zoning Advisory Board Secretary, Mr. Toussaint Kirk, as of September 7, 2023. The minutes accurately reflect the meeting minutes of the March 14th and 28th, 2019 Zoning Advisory Board meeting, and that the notation be signed by both the current chair and the secretary. Can I get approval for that, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read with notations.
Have a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda? Okay, have a motion to accept the agenda. All in favor? Motion carries. Staff, do we have any comments?
No comments aside from introducing Alexius Jones here, our planning and zoning specialist.
Okay, welcome, Alexis. All right, if there's no further comments, we'd like to call the first case, please.
CU 2303, Nicola McDonald Williams of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests a conditional use for property located at 875 Geodico Road in land lots 23 and 42 of the 6th District. Property consists of 5.0 plus or minus acres, and the request is for a personal care home, District 2, presented by Faith Akuda, Planner 1.
Chair, board members, and citizens of Henry County. The conditional use request before you is for the property highlighted in green. The property is currently zoned R1 Single Family Residence. Here we have a survey site plan of the property. The Unified Land Development Code defines a personal care home as a single home where personal services are provided to no more than 6 non-family adults. Personal care services include, but is not limited to, individual assistance with or supervision of self-administered medication and essential activities of daily living such as eating, bathing, grooming, dressing, and toiletring. As indicated on the application, the applicant intends to care for 5 to 6 elderly residents. Services will include one-on-one care to patients and assistance with all daily activities such as grooming, bathing, dressing, and feeding. Personal care homes are permissible in all residential zoning districts and are subject to the standards of the district and the supplemental standards in Section and Chapter 4, Section 4.03.19 of the Unified Land Development Code. An approved conditional use is required for all non-home occupation personal care homes, and all personal care homes must hold a state license. After evaluating the applicant's request, staff recommends approval of the variance of the conditional use with the following 5 conditions listed on the screen. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay.
Does the board have questions for staff?
Yes, I have a question for staff. Staff, have we had any complaints at all? Or any concerns, any complaints from the neighbors?
No complaints or concerns, no.
Oh, okay. All right, will you go back to the condition, to the, yes. And the max they can keep is 6, correct?
Yes, 6 clients at any one given time.
Okay. Nothing further.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, will the applicant please come forward? And please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Nicola McDonald. Address is 875 Jodico Road, Stockbridge, Georgia.
Thank you. And you can just state what you'd like to tell us.
Basically, exactly what Faith said. I would like to open a personal care home at the location. It's in a perfect location. It's on a busy road. We're less than a minute away from the fire station, banks, gas station. And I've just been in this business for over 15 years, and I just would like to expand in the McDonough location with Stockbridge.
Does the board have questions for the applicant? Yes?
Question. You're also living there, because you gave your address as 875 Jodico, and I just
Currently.
want to know, were you going to be living
No,
there?
I won't be living there.
Okay.
I'm requesting a non-occupational.
Other questions from the board for the applicant?
Yes. Now, your application stated you're keeping up to a max of 6. Is that the understanding?
Yes, 5 to 6 residents.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have some personal care homes throughout the state as of now?
Yes, in Hampton.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will have 10 minutes for those wishing to speak in favor of the case. Please come forward. Seeing no one, we will also have 10 minutes for those wishing to speak in opposition of the case. Okay. Are there any other questions that the board may have of the applicant or staff? No. All righty then. So, I guess we can call the case.
Okay. CU 2303, Nicola McDonald Williams of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests a conditional use for property located at 875 Jodico Road in land lots 23 and 42 of the 6th District. Property consists of 5.0 plus or minus acres, and the request is for a personal care home, District 2, presented by Faith Akuda, Planner 1.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to move with staff recommendation of approval of CU 23-03.
Do I have a second? A second. Any discussion? Okay. Thank you. All right, no discussion. All those in favor? Great, thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Back to
All
you.
right. So we call the next case, please.
Under variances, VR 2312, Melinda Pierce of McDonough, Georgia, requests a variance from development standards for property located at 521 Turner Road and land lots 111 and 112 of the 7th District. The property consists of 4.0 plus or minus acres, and the request is for relief from standards for accessory structures. District 3, presented by Faith Ikuda, Planner 1.
Good evening again, Chair, board members, and citizens of Henry County. The variance request before you is for the property highlighted in green. The property is currently zoned RA, Residential Agricultural. Here we have a survey site plan of the property provided by the applicant. The applicant is requesting a variance for relief from Chapter 2, Section 2.01.02 and Chapter 7, Section 7.02.01 of the Henry County Unified Land Development Code, which establishes the minimum front yard setback standards for accessory structures within the RA Residential Agricultural Zone District. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the front yard setback requirement for an accessory structure from 75 feet to 12 feet for the addition of a detached 1,600 square foot garage on the front yard of the subject property. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the setback requirement for accessory structures in the front yard from 75 feet to 12 feet. The applicant applied for a land disturbance permit but was denied with a note stating that the building will need to be moved outside of the 75-foot setback. The proposed detached garage will encroach 63 feet into the existing 75-foot front yard setback. After evaluating the request, staff recommends denial of the applicant's request to reduce the front yard setback for a detached garage in the front yard. I'm happy to take any questions.
Does the board have questions for staff? Anyone else have questions for staff? If not, we'd like the applicant to come forward, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
Melinda Pierce, 521 Turner Road, McDonough, Georgia.
Okay. Ms. Pierce, do you have anything you'd like to add to staff recommendation or?
Yes. The topography of our lot, this is the most logical place where we can put it. Our lot is downward sloping from the start of our lot all the way down. This is the only somewhat level spot on the lot to place an accessory garage. Our lot begins over 900 feet from the road. You cannot see our lot. We're on a flag lot, so you cannot even see our home from the road. And the only thing between the front of our property land and the road is a home and 7 acres. So it's just wooded land, and all of our neighbors are okay with us building this close to our property line.
Okay, anything further?
I have photos too, if you want to see them, of the lot showing all of the elevation change.
Okay. Does, I would like to see those, but does the board have questions for the applicant? Yeah, Mr. Richard.
Let's see, this building would be 1,600 square feet, I think 40 by 40.
Yes, sir.
And what kind of things do you all plan to store inside the building?
We just have some antique cars, a boat, and a UTV. So it's purely going to be a garage and workshop.
Okay, right now those things are just, stored on your property somewhere else. Is that-
Correct, there in our yard.
So it's, and then the topography itself and having looked at it to myself, there's a very steep drainage, and I think your home is probably at the lowest elevation in that particular area. let's see, how would you access the building if it was to be placed where you want it? Would it be, from a driveway coming off your main driveway, or?
Yes, there's actually currently already a cleared drive. It's been there since we purchased the property. It's a cleared driveway, so the 12-foot setback would be the building next to that already cleared drive.
Getting back to the topography situation, it looks like you have one very steep ravine, and it would, if you were to place the building anywhere else on your property, what impact would it have on your drainage in your home?
Immense. So if we were to build it anywhere else, the only other flat spot is to the right of our house, and that is where our septic tank and septic lines currently are. Every other location would require an extensive retaining wall, French drainage to divert the water flow. It would be a huge land disturbance and a huge financial burden on us to put it anywhere else on the property.
Okay, and the property that's in front of yours, which fronts on Turner Road, have you spoken to them about your plans, and?
Yes, and they are.
And do they have any issues with it?
They have no issues. Neither does our neighbor that is beside us. None of our neighbors have any complaints about it.
All right, and I believe that their property is heavily wooded, so I think it pretty much would screen the view of your proposed building.
Yes, sir.
And this building, would it be colored similar to your to your home, and also would it have kind of a pitched roof, for a residential appearance?
Yes, same roof line as our home, and we actually plan to match our siding. We're going to replace our siding when we build this building so that everything matches.
Okay, and also you had mentioned something about your, septic, field line. Now that's next to your home, and I think much of this area drains into that
Yes.
field area. So I guess are you looking to minimize the runoff that would
Very
go
much
towards
so.
that area?
And the waters behind our house are all protected, so we're just trying to minimize the impact to aid the wooded area and the drainage down to those waters. There's a creek and a small lake.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for now. I have looked at the property, and I have looked at the topographic situation, and I think it's very close to what she said. So.
Okay. Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay. You stated that you have pictures. Can we get those on the screen?
So this is the driveway looking down to our house. It's very blurry in this.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get the focus better, but it's a downward slope. The driveway that I'm referring to that's already there is right here, and I'll show you a picture of that. So this is the path that's kind of cleared. This is actually the location that we want to put the shop. It's the most level on the property. You can see our house is over here, so it would be concealed. This is standing in front of our house on the right side looking up. You can see the water drains this way and this way. And you can see the elevation change. And here, standing on the left side of our house, looking up, and my husband is standing there just to show you the elevation change in person. And then the last photo, this is looking up our driveway back to the main road. This is our neighbor's land, and this is where our land starts, and that's that road back to where we want to place the structure.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, if there's no question, you may be seated, ma'am. We'd like to allot 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Come forward, please.
I don't know the procedure here.
But just state your name and address, and if you are speaking in favor, tell us why.
Yes, sir. My name is Cody Pierce. I live at 521 Turner Road, McDonough, Georgia, 30252, and I'm here supporting my wife because she was here to speak. But so I do speak in favor of this. That is the best location to limit the land disturbance, to limit the impact on the environment that's there. And the graders that we've talked to, contractors that we've talked to, 3 out of 3 all agree that that would be the best location to build the building with the least amount of impact. So I will speak out for that. So I speak in favor of approving.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, I don't see anyone coming forward. We would also like to allot 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. I don't see anyone coming forward. Does the board have additional questions for staff or the applicant? Okay. If not, call the case, please.
VR 2312, Melinda Pierce of McDonough, Georgia, requests a variance from development standards for property located at 521 Turner Road in land lots 111 and 112 of the 7th District. Property consists of 4.0 plus or minus acres, and the request is for relief from standards for accessory structures, District 3, presented by Faith Akuda, Planner 1.
Okay, we've heard the case. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance from the 75-foot setback to no less than 12 feet due to topographical issues, and that the accessory building would match the same appearance and a pitched roof as the home does, so that it is compatible with the home that's there.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second by Mrs. Randolph. Any discussion?
Probably need to put a condition on the resolution that they can't build anything else but that shed. And setback. Yes, sir. So what we would do is we would make a condition, a part of the resolution, that only this shed would be able to be built within, well, outside of the 75-yard setback.
All right, this would be the only accessory structure that would be built on the property.
Yes, sir. Well, that's outside of the setback.
Yes.
Yes, sir. That's staff's request.
Right, just one structure within 12 feet of the property line.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Richard, would you like to change your motion to read that?
Okay, the motion is to allow a variance from the 75-foot front yard setback for accessory structures in the RA district to be no less than 12 feet from the front property line due to topographical issues and for one building only.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mrs. Randolph to reflect the motion. All in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, unanimous. Okay, call the next case, please.
Under rezoning, RZ 2310, Sunrise Builders, Inc. of Jonesboro, Georgia requests a rezoning from RA, residential agricultural, to R2, single-family residence, for property located at 1004 Highway 81 West in land lots 174 and 175 of the 6th District. Property consists of 45.532 plus or minus acres, and the request is for a single-family residential subdivision. District 5, presented by Kamal Aslam, Interim Assistant Director.
Good evening, Chair, board members, and citizens of Henry County. The rezoning request in front of you is for property located at 1004 and 1100 Highway 81 west of Mill Road. The subject property is highlighted on the overhead maps, and the future land use designation is low-density residential. The chart shown on the screen provides information about comparable subdivisions near the subject area. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from RA residential agricultural to R2 single-family residence for a single-family residential subdivision consisting of 39 lots served by individual septic system as per the site plan dated March 15th, 2023. The future land use map designation for the subject property is low-density residential, which supports a density of up to 2 dwelling units per acre net. The density of the proposed development is 0.91 dwelling units per acre net. The subject property is located within the boundaries of the Highway Corridor Overlay District and will be required to comply with the development standards. Those development standards for Highway Corridor are also shown on the site plan provided by the applicant. Development standards for Highway Corridor include pedestrian sidewalks 8 to 10 feet, pedestrian lighting, and street trees. A walking trail, children's playground, and open-air pavilion are provided in the dedicated green space on the western side of the property. Here, there's a walking trail that connects these two cul-de-sacs and the amenity areas in here. Building elevation and design elements are still being discussed amongst staff and the applicant, and will be discussed further in between the ZAB meeting and the Board of Commissioners meeting. This slide displays comments from the Development and Public Safety Departments regarding proposed development. There are no red flags that would hinder the development. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request with the following 21 conditions, and that request is to rezone the property from RA to R2 on septic, and I'll be happy to take any questions, and I'll cycle through these conditions as we speak.
Okay, thank you, staff. Does the board have questions for staff?
Yes. Can you tell me the proposed heated floor space for these homes?
Yes, sir. So, again, we're still in discussion about the size of the homes, but the minimum standard for the R2 zoning district is 1,800 square feet.
Okay. And can we go back? What is the impact to the police department and the schools?
Yes, sir. Go to that slide. It's a little blurred out, but Henry County Police would need 0.20 additional officers, which is difficult to quantify. You can't have 0.20 officers, but that's how many would be estimated for the 123 estimated students. And as far as the schools, this would generate an additional 7 students for the school per the school letter. So that's a letter provided by Henry County School. That's their metrics, their data.
Okay, thank you. Will there be the the acceleration, deceleration lanes proposed for this area?
Yes, sir. And they're required by Henry County DOT.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me at this point.
Thank you. Any additional questions for staff? Okay, if there's no further questions for staff, I see the applicant is already here with us. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. George Harper, Paramount Engineering, 11 East Broad Street in Noonan, Georgia. I'm here tonight representing Sunrise Builders, the developer. And I'll just kind of reiterate a few things that Mr. Kamal said. He did a great job, and their staff reports are very thorough. So I believe you've got pretty much all the information that you would need. You know, again, this is only 39 lots. It's about 45 acres. With a net density of 0.91 units per acre, and the maximum allowed is 2.0. We're very comparable to the nearby subdivisions. In fact, we're very comparable to the one right next to us, Williamsburg Place. I believe they're at 0.82. And as you can see on this charts, 3 and 4, those are both zoned R2. So there are very similar zonings, you know, in the near vicinity of this project as well. We are in the Highway Corridor District, and we'll comply with all of those measures as well. I'd like to point out that it is consistent with the future land use map, rezoning to R2. We'll provide the sidewalks along the streets. The 10-foot sidewalk along the frontage is required by the overlay district. Street trees, street lights along the frontage, all those are part of that Highway Corridor District. This is it's a really beautiful piece of property. The front of it towards the road is kind of open now, and then the rear of the property is pretty heavily wooded. There's a stream that runs. You can kind of see where this existing pond is, and that stream runs to the north there. All that area obviously will have stream buffers that will remain, so all that area will be remain wooded and protected, and all those lots against Williamsburg Place there, you know, would have a real nice wooded buffer along through there. These are septic tank lots, as there is no sewer available in this area. We will be provided by Henry County Water, as they stated. Deceleration lanes. We're trying to match the driveway right across the street for the church there. So that's kind of how we located the entrance where it is. But these will be very nice homes. Sunrise Builders has built quite a few homes in Henry County over the years. And so, you know, they build a really nice product. But I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Does the board have questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
What amenities are being proposed on this property?
So we're proposing obviously the CBU, the community mailbox. We've got some off-street parking there on that cul-de-sac. Right on the first cul-de-sac there is where all of the amenities and the community mailbox will be coming off of. We're also providing a playground and a walking trail that will kind of go down along the that pond area and then tie back into the second cul-de-sac in the middle of the property. We're also providing a pavilion, an open-air pavilion. We had proposed originally a 20-foot by 20-foot, but I believe in the staff report they recommended a minimum of 1,000 square foot open-air pavilion, which is fine. There's no problems there. I think these are pretty typical with the amenities you see in especially these type of subdivisions with this many lots. So that's pretty typical, I think.
One last question for me at this moment.
Yes,
would there be any security systems, cameras, you know, similar like Flock going up in this area?
You know, that's a good question. And one, honestly, I don't quite have the answer to, but I will say most subdivisions nowadays, you see they put that kind of solar-powered camera right there at the entrance. I think most of them are kind of going to that. I don't know with only 39 lots if this one would have that. I just can't answer that definitively offhand. I think it would be a good idea, but you know, especially with one entrance, you can kind of tell everybody that's coming and going through that one spot. So I would advise it, but I can't speak 100% to that it would be.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, I have, go ahead.
Will it have a homeowners association?
Yes, ma'am, that is mandatory.
Okay, and what's the price point? I know you guys haven't laid everything out, but
Yes, ma'am. Well, and like Kamal said, we're still kind of working on the elevations and stuff, but most of their products are selling in the fours, that area, I believe, fours. Depending on kind of what the facades are and, you know, all that type of stuff. So, but that's ballpark, yes, ma'am.
Well, I basically had the same question, but based on that, what size structure in terms of what you're building now? Are you going with a single story or?
They don't really build many single stories. Most everything is two-story that they build. I think in your packet I think they had quite a few renderings in there of a lot of the products that they build, and most all of those are two-story. You know, a lot of them are well over the 1,800 square feet. That is kind of a minimum there. But yeah, I don't even, just kind of flipping through briefly, I don't see one-story product that they build.
And being at your own septic, you're pretty comfortable that all the lots are going to purge?
Yes, sir. We actually, before when we put the property under contract, the first thing we did was had a level 3 soil survey done. And so I kind of have laid the property out and made sure every lot has good soil on it. That's why there's some areas in the back that really we probably could have built on, but there's some kind of bad soils back there. So yes, sir, every lot has good soil on it.
Okay, all right. And you are aware of all the overlay, no one will be coming back asking for additional variance and conditional uses, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, we'd also like to allot about 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Patricia Knight. I own the property at 917 Highway 81 West and 935 Highway 81 West, and I'm a lifetime church member across the street at Oakland Baptist Church. My home address is 1329 Jubilee Lane. My grandparents live next door to this property on the same side of the road, and my parents as well. And I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good plan.
Thank you very much. All right. We have time remaining. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, if not, we'd like to allot 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. We're gonna just go with it.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. My name is Pamela Phillips. I live at 308 Williamsburg Circle in McDonough, Georgia, which is the Williamsburg Place subdivision that's adjacent to this property. I've lived in this neighborhood for over 30 plus years. I have several residents that live in the same neighborhood that are here to support me tonight. And I have several points that I'd like to make about why I would object to this development being rezoned from RA to R2. First of all, it would increase the density and traffic in the area. Some days we sit at our neighborhood entrance for over 15 or 20 minutes at peak times trying to get in and out of the neighborhood. I understand that R2 developments, according to Georgia Code, is medium density residential district, which could include townhouses, duplexes, and single family dwellings. I think that it would significantly increase traffic and congestion on Highway 81. I think it would put a strain on the infrastructure. The current infrastructure may not be equipped to handle a large influx of new residents. Things like roads, schools, utilities may become overburdened. Upgrades would likely be needed, increasing property taxes for those of us who have dwelled here for many, many years. I think we would have a loss of green space, rezoning from RA to R2, which would negatively impact the quality of life for those of us who have lived there in a country environment for many, many years. That's the reason we moved there. I think that this development would be incompatible with the neighborhood character. because even though they're saying that they're going to build single-family dwellings, I know the scope of what some of these single-family dwellings look like, and they're piled in to such a tight space that they're almost not even, nice to look at. I think it would completely change the aesthetic of the neighborhood. I think the higher density development would decrease our property values, and that would hurt our home values in our area, which have already been severely diminished by the economic situation in the county and the country thus far. I think it opens doors to future rezonings. I think approving this rezoning could set a precedent for allowing other RA parcels to be rezoned to R2 that could lead to unchecked, dense development in the future. I think it would contribute to a lack of community benefits. The developers may not contribute to improving roads, schools, parks, and other infrastructure. The bottom line is that, in my opinion, rezoning this land could forever change the character and feel of the surrounding community. Lower density RA zoning should be maintained to protect quality of life for us residents that have been there and have devoted many, many tax dollars to this county. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Jennifer Salias. I live at 1100 Highway 81 West. My opposition for this is to correct the correct address on the documents. As you can see, that subdivision would border my 8 acres of land, which is zoned RA, which we have intention to keep it agricultural, and that's the reason why we moved there and purchased that property. When we purchased the property, there was an error on the tax documents, so the parcel that it consists of 16 acres would be unaddressed instead of including our address on there. If they do a residential, we would ask that they would consider moving the park area to the north side of the property so it does not back up into our property for our animals. Concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Sandra Petite. I live at 1039 Highway 81 West. My house is the house between the two churches. I live directly across from the pond section of this property. I have a hard time getting in and out of my driveway because of the traffic already. There is a lot of traffic on a 2-lane highway. It's a state highway, yes, but it's still 2 lanes. I've talked to other people in the neighborhood who do not want that density. If it has to go residential, we would prefer it to not be that dense. We already have apartments going up like crazy at near the interstate on Highway 81. We're having very little chance of getting from Highway 81 to cross I-75 because we have so much traffic on that 2-lane highway. It's not like Highway 20 where it's divided in 4 lanes and all that sort of thing. It's just 2 lanes. We've got a lot of side roads. We have a lot of single home driveways directly into that highway. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have about roughly 5 minutes. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Go ahead, sir. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Gilles Salies. I live in this address there, 1100 Highway 81 West. My wife did talk about the issue with the address and the parcel. I hope that will be taken care of. My question, I'm European, so I worked in constructions also past years, and same issue is, going back and forth. We moved about, 2 years ago, we had about 17 accidents on our land, just people driving through, not stopping, under influence or whatever. It is getting dangerous there. And beside putting a red light or putting a roundabout, which would cause other problems and limitations, I don't see that being good for traffic. Now, I also had a question for the part of the land who was touching my place there, if they were going to place a fence for this, or if they had any idea of what they will put here as a separation, or if they were going to leave it like this. That's a personal question towards our dear friend there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We still have time left. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Please state your name and address for the record.
Michael Singleton, 254 Williamsburg Circle, McDonough. I also live in Williamsburg Place subdivision. My property backs up to the property line where the creek is there. The subdivision looks okay. The problem is, and everybody asks me, who I talk to in this county, is, you know, why are they building so much when the streets can't handle the saturation of development? They're building a 4-story apartment complex on 81 West currently right now. It took me 18 minutes to get here this evening, and that was pretty quick. When the interstate backs up, which is most every day, everyone takes Mill Road, which is just east of this proposal, and it just backs up, and it's impossible to go down 81 toward the interstate. So I don't think the roads can handle it right now, and that's what everybody asks me with every new subdivision that comes up. Jonesboro Road is getting apartment complexes and subdivisions, and it's getting saturated where you can't even, Jonesboro Road's not even alternate for us anymore if we want to go across the interstate. So that's why I oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have roughly 2 minutes. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Gloria Williamson, and I live in Williamsburg Place at 237, and a ditto to everything that they have said. And the big issue is the traffic, and we have semis that come up and down that road all the time. Coming out of Oakland Road, it's bad. Many accidents have already happened there. And I think I understood him to say there was only one entrance in and out. And already at New Orleans Place down there, with one entrance coming out, traffic gets backed up, and you don't know how long you have to sit there and wait for people to turn in to New Orleans. And that's going to be the same case with this. There's just too much traffic, too much traffic. Thank you.
We have less than a minute, but I think we get the point. Does the board have additional questions for staff or the applicant?
I have a question for staff. Are there any plans to widen Highway 81?
So, I don't have the answer to that right now. I don't think there's plans to widen this section of 81, at least in the short term. But a part of this development, they have to go through development review with DOT and SPLOST to make sure that they make the proper road corrections and the proper improvements so that this doesn't impact traffic too heavily. Transportation planning and county DOT both think that, have both told staff that this plan shouldn't impact traffic too much. So, but as far as widening 81, there are no plans for this section of it. And Highway 81 is also a state highway, so it's not in the county's purview.
Got it.
Any additional questions for staff or the applicant? Mr. VM?
For staff, are they required to have a buffer, of trees, an undisturbed buffer around the sides? I know they have a lot of trees in the picture, but it's not spelled out if there's a buffer requirement.
Right. So they don't have a buffer requirement, as this development backs up to other subdivision on one side and RA on the other. They show a natural buffer anyway. We won't want them to touch it. If it's the pleasure of the board, we can add a condition to have a buffer in there, but it was going to be taken care of regardless.
Like where the park area is, there's no buffer there, is what I was kind of going for. I know the creek kind of does a lot of it, but the rest was just a concern.
Any additional question for staff or the applicant? I have a question for staff. Staff, there was some concerns about the address. Is there an issue with the address of this property?
I think the concerns about the address were about this property, and it came from that property owner. This is a completely different property from this one.
Okay.
I spoke with the tax assessor's department regarding this. They said that it was an error. This 16 acres or so that is attached with this development was not intended to have that 1100 Highway 81 West. So that issue is being resolved.
Okay, so that issue is being resolved.
Correct.
Okay. I believe that's, all right. Staff, you mentioned earlier about this was consistent with, the rezoning was consistent with the future land development. Can you give me a quick, go back briefly, let's take a look at that. Okay, can you kind of point out the areas around there now that's R2?
Yes, sir. So this subdivision, 3, which is Oakland Station, and number 4, which is Orleans Place, they're both R2 subdivisions. Those are 30,000 square foot lots.
Okay.
Okay. The subdivision directly next to this one is a RA subdivision. Those are 1 acre lots. However, the density is very similar between the proposed subdivision and Williamsburg Place. So they're allowed a density of up to 2 units to the acre. They're only asking for 0.91.
Okay. So, if it remained as RA, how many homes could we build on that property?
If it remained as RA, they would have to do what we call a RA subdivision. So RA subdivisions, when Williamsburg was developed, is different than what a RA subdivision today would be. Today, an RA subdivision would require 2 acre lot minimums.
Oh, okay.
When Williamsburg was developed, it was only required 1 acre lot minimums.
I'm just curious in terms of the comparison of the number of homes that would be built as R2 opposed to RA.
They would lose more than half of those 39 lots.
Half of them. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we're talking about out of 40, roughly 20 homes, a difference of 20 homes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Any additional questions for? Okay. No additional? Yes.
You were saying that the subdivision next to Williamsburg Place had to have a minimum of 1 acre, but a lot of those lots have 2 to 3 acres.
This is Williamsburg.
Right.
So that's minimums, right?
Right.
So they'll have, even in this subdivision, there'll be lots that are larger than 30,000 as well. So those are just minimums. You're correct.
Right. So the density is not a big difference based on what you're saying.
Exactly. So while Williamsburg Place has more land, right? It has more. The units are just the density is just a little bit lower, but that's because they're 1 acre lots instead of 30,000.
Oh, okay.
But they were 1 acre minimum lots.
Minimum, correct.
Okay. Any additional questions? I have another question for the applicant. Now, there were some concerns of the buffers and properties adjacent to your property.
Yes.
What can we do to fix this problem, to ensure that we have the proper buffers, or we have your property basically isolated from their property?
Okay. Could you go back to there you go. All right, so the properties to the north and to the east are fully wooded right now. And that's a pretty large tract. And so it is fully wooded. And then obviously it bleeds over onto our property as well. So really the front half, pretty much almost the middle street, the little cul-de-sac street towards the road is roughly that area is grassed at this point, and then everything from there back is wooded. So with these size lots, we do like to go in and leave, as much wooded as we can. It gives you some privacy, obviously, from each other, but the neighbors that back up to you. So the areas that we have shown as remaining wooded, we intend to leave those areas wooded. And then, of course, on the east side, you have the stream buffer there, which is, essentially 150 feet wide because of the 75-foot impervious setbacks on each side. So that leaves a pretty good buffer through there. You're right. The only area that would not really be buffered is up north towards the front, off those last lots, kind of where the amenity area is. We could do some plantings through there if we needed to give, some privacy to that adjacent homeowner if that was something you requested. But I believe the rest of the side, especially the north and the east sides, and the remainder of the west side will all stay wooded and buffered pretty well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't have anything further. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. If there's no further question, we'd like to call the case.
Okay. Under rezoning, RZ 2310, Sunrise Builders, Inc. of Jonesboro, Georgia, requests a rezoning from RA Residential Agricultural to R2 Single Family Residence for property located at 1004 Highway 81 West in land lots 174 and 175 of the 6th District. The property consists of 45.532 plus or minus acres, and the request is for a single-family residential subdivision, District 5, presented by Kamal Asalam, Interim Assistant Director.
Okay. We've heard the case. Do we have a motion?
Yes. I make a motion to approve the rezoning from RA to R2 with the 21 conditions outlined, plus adding the buffer condition outside the natural buffer of trees where it does not exist today.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by, and we have a second by Mr. Beam. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, all opposed?
I'm abstaining from the vote because I have a family member that lives in Williamsburg Place, so I don't want to have a conflict of interest.
Okay, so we have one abstain, and we have 4. Motion carries, and 1 non-vote. 4-1. Thank you. All right, I believe that concludes our cases for this evening. I ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay, thank you, Mr. Risher. This meeting is now adjourned.
Next zoning advisory board meeting is Thursday, November 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. That is a regularly scheduled zoning advisory board meeting.
Okay, Thursday, November the 9th at 6:30 p.m.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Everyone have a great evening.